suppose, first of all, how good has it been in the last few weeks to have that unbeaten feeling, or indeed winning feeling, here at Doncaster Rovers?
Yeah, probably the first time this season that we've had a good run of 4 games. I think the last time was probably, that I remember, was sometime in February last year as well. So yeah, it's been the few weeks that we needed, I think, as a football club. And yeah, it's obviously a good feeling around the place, and it's been important in terms of the league table, but also in terms of us as a group.
People like me will paint the narrative that it was the turning point was the penalty at Sutton. Did it feel like that for you as a group of players, or did you sense that maybe something was brewing before then?
No, I think it's a big moment in the season. Definitely, I think in that game in general, I think we deserved a point in terms of we should have probably a penalty or 2 beforehand. But yeah, it's a big moment in the season, and it gave us a bit of a springboard in terms of going on the next couple of weeks and performing well. I think that's been the biggest thing, is the performances they've been inconsistent throughout the season, and this is probably the first time that the manager's been able to pick a sort of consistent squad, and we've had, fingers crossed, a lot of boys back fit. So I think that consistency's helped in team selection.
It must be a challenge each week to not necessarily know who you're going to be lining up with, because Doncaster Rovers have had some horrendous injury problems this year.
Yeah, I think it's the biggest thing. I think you look at the teams at the top of the table, a lot of them, obviously they have injuries, but you could see even it's affected Stockport, you could say, where they've had some big injuries recently. But I think team selection and having that sort of relationships that you can build, because there's been a lot of players that have came and went since I've been here, and building those kind of relationships, especially in the back four, and wide players with strikers. I think that's important for us to try and build those relationships in the next 14 games.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, do you start to feel as though that type of thing will start to come together now? Because centre halves have been all sorts of problems, haven't they, that you know about, further forward, etc. Yeah,
I think it's hard to predict, but I think that can only be a positive, that we keep the same sort of nucleus of the team. Of course, there's going to be changes through selection and injuries and whatever that's going to happen, but hopefully it's not wholesale that we've had to do throughout the season.
What's it like when one of them comes in, or you get feedback by the manager or what have you? Yeah, so and so's not going to be around or playing for a few months. It must kind of get to everybody.
Yeah, I think you're more disappointed for your teammate first and foremost, because they're going to miss a certain amount of time of football. I think that's the most disappointing, and obviously the manager having to rejig things, and it might need to be, it depends on who's injured, whether you have to change shape or change the style of play. So I think I turned in luck in that recently, in touch wood, but that's been a positive for us.
It's only a short time ago that some of the fan base were worried about being really dragged into a relegation battle. Obviously the gap now is 13 points. So do you guys kind of look up and think about mid-table and top half finishes, that sort of thing?
I think the message has been really consistent throughout the period, even in January and February, when you're right, the gap was getting a bit smaller. We never spoke about it as a group, and it was always the same kind of message, consistent message about just trying to put a run together and getting ourselves up the table, and that's not changed. That now that we've won 4, we've won 2 games, drawn 2, it's the same. We're not thinking about playoffs or anything like that. It's just get ourselves up the league table and see where it takes us. How
easy or hard is it to kind of ignore the kind of noise that always surrounds a football club in a season, whether the team is challenging to go up or what have you, or try and stay up, that you're going to see a league table, or you're going to get comments from fans, good, bad or indifferent, just to try and kind of stay on a level with it?
Yeah, I think that's a challenge at every football club that I've been at, is fans are fans. 1 week it's brilliant, 1 week it's the worst thing ever. So I think lucky for us, we've got an experienced group of boys who've been there and played in the leagues and have been through all that. So yeah, for us, I don't think it was too difficult a challenge, but throughout my time here, that has been you know, there has been a lot of noise around the club, so you kind of get used to it. So it's one of those things that it's not unique to Doncaster, and you know, we have been towards the bottom of the table. Fans aren't going to be happy, so it's fully justified.
How much is this game against Wimbledon a chance to keep the momentum building?
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing in sport is momentum. You know, that's on our side right now with performances, but for us, we're not really been thinking too much about, you know, the big picture stuff. It's just, again, the next game, the next performance, you know, keeping it down, and again, not setting targets in terms of finishing league position, but you know, just win the next game, on the next week, win the next game.